Is the Bible a reliable and authoritative thing in our lives? Is it reliable and authoritative for faith and practice? You know, those terms come out of 2 Timothy 3:16. Another way of saying that are its truth propositions true? Is what it asks you to believe believable? In other words, is it coherent? Is it true? Now, what kinds of things, are you really kind of focusing on then? Well, there's stuff that if you actually read the text of Scripture closely, you're going to run into. So you encounter things when you read, and that's going to have an effect on, again, how this question sort of surfaces in your mind. Well, like, what does that mean? And how can this be the case? Or how do I think about this thing that I've read, that I've encountered either in a sermon or the course of my own reading? How do we do that? And what you've been taught about what the Bible is and what you've been taught about how we got the Bible will directly affect how you process things you run into. And so this is the problem. We have, as I'll talk about in the next session, the way we have been taught traditionally about inspiration actually creates problems for the stuff we find in the Bible. Okay? That sounds kind of Fruit Loopy, I understand that, but when I show you the examples, you'll know just what I'm talking about. There are things that you actually find in the text that do not conform to the way you are traditionally and the way I was traditionally taught about inspiration. And the moment you realize that, that does create internal conflict. And these are the kinds of things that people who want to undermine confidence in Scripture will target. They're not obvious. See, because if they're not that obvious and then they show them to you in a class at university, it creates the impression in the listener that, oh, my pastor was hiding that. He skipped that. There's something my parents and my pastor didn't tell me. Why? Why didn't they want me to know that? Why didn't they want me to think about it? See, all I have to do as a professor is just say exactly that in an audience full of undergrads. And I've got half of you already. Because I'm instilling the hermeneutic of suspicion within you. It's not hard to do. It happens a lot. I'm going to go through some examples of why this is the case. Why the way we've traditionally been taught about Scripture. Why some things just don't work. And if you see that they don't work, then again it creates this, what is the Bible then? How did we get it? Simple, I'm going to go two obvious illustrations, and I'm going to go to the less obvious. Ezekiel 1. You've probably read this at least 4 or 5 times. I was going to say 50 times. Yeah, everybody reads the prophets, I know. Ezekiel 1:1-3. In the 30th year of the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, as I was among the eggs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's Ezekiel's, he's getting into his into the material that's going to be, his life and his message, to the captives there in Babylon. Does anything look odd to you? Just take a moment and read through the rest. Is there something odd about the wording of this? Is there anything odd about the highlighted portions now, the colored portion? What's the problem? There's a switch between first person and third person. See, we're taught all Scripture is given by inspiration of God. It's the word inspiration there is theopneustos, God breathed. Now, most evangelicals will not say that means God dictated the words. In other words, the dictation view is kind of passé. But instead, you'll read in evangelical theologies lots of things that don't mean a whole lot.